From November 30th to December 10th this year, I closed $37,000 in sales. So I'm going to teach you the 5 key lessons I learned over the past 2 years of online business, which allowed me to do this. Meaning you have probably never heard of these before, as I learned them over thousands of hours in the game of business. And you'll have to watch until lesson 5, simply because without that, you'll have a very hard time implementing the rest. So make sure and still stick until then. So now starting with step 1. This is the boring truth. What I mean by this is that consistency and frequency are going to be the biggest factors that determine your success. And there's no secret system that you can use within 10 to 15 days, which is going to magically change the money you make. Rather, it's being consistently frequent. So consistency is how long you do things, and frequency is how much you do it. So you have to consistently be frequent. You can't just work 12 hours one day and then not again for the next 2 months. Again, you have to consistently be frequent and do this before the time period that you're actually trying to make money in. And you want to do the tasks that you know you're putting off. A lot of the time, these tasks are things that you know you should be doing, but you aren't for whatever reason. And you constantly look for the new shiny task that you should be doing instead. So imagine it like this. Imagine you were 10 and playing Minecraft. Well, you are going to go and fight the Ender Dragon with wooden tools. Are you? No, you're going to be going and spending a lot of time beforehand getting diamond tools and armor so you can prepare for the fight. This is the same with your business, as it only works with you consistently being frequent with the right action. And not only do you have to just consistently be frequent, but what I would highly recommend is identifying how long you need to be consistent and how frequent you need to be, therefore how much you're going to do within the days. And then I would multiply each one of those by like 10. So no, you don't need to just work the next 3 months and do 8 hours a day. And be real with yourself. Ask yourself, how much do I really believe you want to do 12 hours every single day for the next 12 months? And the next 3 years, the next 5 years, and do this just again and again, and constantly set your standard of action way higher than everyone else, because ultimately that's going to be the determining factor between your success and theirs. It's simply your resilience, therefore your ability to bounce back. As a lot of the time you don't outcompete or you don't run other businesses out of business. You simply are going to be able to stay in the game longer. And that's exactly what I've done with this coaching business. I've seen many other coaches. I've talked with tens or now even hundreds of coaches that have simply just stopped working. And then that's how I'm beating them, simply because I've been able to bounce back from all these problems and continue just to keep pushing through. So with that being said, again, you have to still be able to push through with the right actions, because if you're doing the wrong actions, you're not going to be able to have the leverage necessary to make the progress that you want. So with that being said, what are the right actions? Well, that's where step 2 comes in, the right action. Understand, in your coaching business, you only struggle with getting the right people to see your stuff, getting them to buy your stuff, or getting them to keep buying your stuff or buy more of it. And a lot of the time, you simply need to identify which is your constraint and why. And if you're watching this, I assume you don't have so many customers to the point where they're just constantly churning and leaving your business. So inside of your coaching business, really your only struggle is probably either getting the right people to see your stuff or getting the right people to buy. So with that being said, what we have to figure out is, how can we do this? Well, what you need to do is you have to understand what the right action is to be able to solve the problem in the first place. Because once you identify the problem, you need to understand the right action. And this will simply come through tracking the correct data in your business. And what I mean by this is that, sometimes you go and try to solve a problem. Like imagine, if you were a boxer, right? And you were going to try to solve the problem of your jab. Well, you're not going to just not throw a jab because it's kind of weird. You're going to figure out how to solve the jab. So a lot of the time what people do in entrepreneurship is they avoid solving the problem, or they just do something new rather than solving the actual problem that's there. So you have to understand fundamentally that you have to be able to understand the exact right action, and that'll come from having data to look at and be like, okay, here's the truth. I think that I'm just supposed to create more content to grow my audience from 500 followers to 500,000. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe you just suck at taking sales calls. So then what you need to do is figure out, okay, well, is that the truth? And that's by tracking that data, tracking your closing rate, and figuring that out. And if you want to know exactly what I would track and how I would track it, then you can just click the top link in the description and apply to join my free community. quickly. Then from there, I'll give you access to the tracking system that I've used to secure nearly $140,000 in lifetime value from my clients over the past 2 years of online business, with the majority of it being over the past 10 months. So from there, after really getting your tracking system dialed in, the next step is to start to analyze which people are going to be the most qualified for what you do and why. Because once you identify what problem you're trying to solve, then what you can do is figure out, okay, well, who is the right type of person that I'm trying to get in? Because that's one of the main struggles you might have, is either getting the right people to see you and see your stuff, the right people to buy, or people to keep buying your stuff and buy more of it. So this would be simply by asking yourself, who would be the easiest to get results for? From there, all you need to do is prioritize having conversations with these qualified leads. And what I mean by this is that somebody who's qualified is going to have a few different factors. For example, right now, I'm helping educational creators increase their qualified conversion after I did the same thing for myself and like 30, 40 high-ticket clients right now. So then if somebody's not an educational creator, if they don't have a coaching program, or maybe if they don't have some sort of problem of a lack of conversion, then they're not really qualified. Specifically, I'm helping them increase their conversion from a point of contact with somebody to them booking a sales call with the person, just because I've booked thousands of sales calls in the past. So with that being said, I've been able to clarify that, and you need to clarify this for yourself, again, by just asking yourself, who would be the easiest to get results for? So if you're going to help overweight men lose weight, well, is it going to be easier to get results for somebody who's just looking to lose like 3% body fat, go from 15 to 12% body fat, and they've already been working out for 3 or 4 years, and they've already got a lot of things dialed in? Or is it somebody who is, maybe they're trying to lose 30 pounds, and they've worked out for about 6 to 12 months, and then maybe that person's easier. Or maybe what you're trying to do is something different, right? You have to keep analyzing. The same thing is like, okay, well, imagine somebody who's 300 pounds overweight, they've never worked out, they don't want to work out. Like, that person's probably going to be even harder to get results for. So you have to start figuring out each one of these things so that way you can identify who's the easiest to get results for and spend time just having conversations with those people. With that being said, you can't just have any sort of conversation. You have to understand exactly how to convert these conversations to sales. And then that's where step 3 comes in, the relationship converter. So I spent months or even over an entire year nurturing and building relationships with some of these prospects that I sold to within that 11-day time span. Why? Because you need to build a relationship with your prospects, as people always buy from someone they like, trust, and respect. Therefore, you need to spend time building trust, authority, and relatability, because then these people will actually resonate with what you do. As resonation fundamentally is when you provide value, so you solve problems for people, you give authority, so you're seen as credible, and then on top of that, you're relatable, so that's through storytelling, giving examples, and showing that you've been where they are before. And you'll do this throughout the conversion process through messages, free calls, free resources, and showing more proof. As the messages build the trust and the connection with them, that relationship. The free calls, these provide that value, so build the value and the perceived value of you in their mind and help them solve problems in their life. As value is created when pain is alleviated from someone's life, and pain is alleviated from someone's life when problems are solved, because there's always a perceived mental or emotional discomfort associated with that problem. And then these problems are just obstacles that are stopping them from getting to where they want to be. Then once you do this for long enough, you'll have gotten to the point to where these prospects are just ready to buy. They're literally asking you like, hey, what can you do more for me? I have this question, this one. Like, you'll know, because they'll say, thank you so much for all the advice you've given. And I'll actually put a few messages on screen that I've done with people before where they've done and said these exact same thing. So with that being said, as you start getting these messages of people really appreciating what you've done for them, then that's kind of where the time to strike, so to be, is called, where you get on another call with these people, and then at this point, they just want to throw money at whatever you have to offer, because you've built that relatability, you've built that trust, and you've gained that connection. And the basis of this process, when you actually start trying to convert these people to closes, will look like, first is just your first message set is wherever you're getting their contact information from, whether it's funneling them from your content to Instagram and DMing them on there, or maybe it's you're networking with them in other groups online and then you share your content and your Instagram and then you DM them from there. You just have to have some sort of point of contact so you can consistently message and follow up with these people. So from there, once you do that, you can have this first conversation. This isn't just entirely to build the connection, start building, a connection with this person and getting to understand where they're at in their current situation. Then from there, to see if they're interested in more free help. Get on a call with them, share free resources, and do these things. And you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to, this will take a lot of time, it's not scalable. But listen, if you could do this and you could just spend an extra 20 minutes per week with 5 to 6 different people, and then that means a few weeks from now, they each paid you $2,000, you just made more than $10,000 in a month because you took the time to not be lazy and instead take action and do the things which are required to succeed. Because yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be time consuming, but that's the whole point. That's why business is so hard to succeed in. So with that being said, from there, once you actually get them to book a call with you for help, and then from there, you get to the point where they want to buy something from you, you need to book the sales call. And then that's where the closing method that you need to have comes in and actually being able to understand how to sell. So with that being said, that's step number 4, the only closing method you need. In fact, what I figured out is it's not a specific sales script or a crazy offer. Rather, it's simply being detached from the outcome of the sale in terms of the money that you make and that you're going to make, but being attached to genuinely caring for the person and helping them work through their problems. Because then it seems like you're coming on their side of the table. You guys are, working together on this issue rather than you just pitching them something because you want to gain off of it. So it's a difference between like taking a girl on a date and then because you want to brag to your friends, you went on a date, and instead taking her on a date because you want her to have a good time, because you genuinely care, you can emphasize with these people. Then by doing that, what you're going to be able to do is effectively get on the same side of the table, so to speak, as your prospects, allowing you to make the sale much easier because it shows that you genuinely care. And when you go based with that intention and genuinely caring for them, like for example, in both these situations, whether it's a prospect or girlfriend, they can both sense your intentions. So instead, you need to not have the intention of trying to profit off it immediately, because they will immediately be thrown off, therefore ruining the experience, meaning it's way less likely to convert to the next part of the relationship, which is in this case, like when you're trying to get a client. So that's the next section. With that being said, you need to then understand, what you need to understand is, okay, then how do I get them to that point? How do I get to the point where they're open enough to trust me and they're open enough to actually want to work with me and hear me out, as well as what do I do to be able to get on the same side as them? Well, it's through genuinely understanding them, getting to build that connection, which that's where the secret sales framework comes in, to being able to make it so that way by the time you get to there, you have kind of these secrets about them and you've been able to develop this thing. And truthfully, that comes into step 5, that secret sales framework. And the truth is that the secret is there is no secret. Because on top of implementing everything I've told you about so far, just delivering an effective service for some of my clients like a year ago was how I upsold some of them now into the program that they're in, because I helped them out in the past, consistently built that relationship, helped them even more on top of what I said I was going to do, and then they were just naturally wanting to buy. So what I was able to do is deliver an effective service beforehand with some of my coaching clients, literally emanating the examples and the principles that I told you before, allowing me to be able to then, and what was one of the biggest factors at least, to be able to get this success over these past recent weeks. As I helped one of my coaching clients, for example, like he happened to be running a business because I was just helping kind of with his mindset and setting up his life in the right way. So I ended up helping him set up like that. And he had made like pretty much no money, or like $23 before working with me. Apparently I followed up with him a couple months later and he had made over $10,000. So he's like, oh my God, you've literally changed my life. So then he was obviously thinking the next move was like, well, I see you have this program now, let me buy it. So with that being said, now understand that it is genuinely possible for you to do what I've done. In fact, inside my free community, there are hundreds of online coaches and content creators doing the same thing. Now, you're still probably thinking, it's not very possible, maybe it's kind of unrealistic. Okay, let's say, imagine you could even make $3,700 in 11 days. That's at least 10K a month, at least. And they just sign 3 $1,000 clients, even if a couple of them are on payment plans. Like, that's the same thing that mine were. A few of them were on payment plans and whatnot. That's kind of what was happening. So then with that being said, what would that do for your business? And more importantly, what would that do for your life? Even $3,700 in 11 days. Exactly, it would change everything for the better. So I decided I'll teach you exactly how to implement everything in this video for free by simply, all you have to do is click the top link in the description, apply to join my free private community, and all the guys in the community have exclusive access to these methods that they're currently using to kill you in business. Now go click that top link in the description now to join the community and get access to the methods you need in order to 10x your business and your sales. So overall, you should just go take the first step to changing your life. Like, imagine what consistently and effortlessly closing new clients could do for you. Or don't, and be like everyone else who doesn't really take action and is in this perpetual cycle of inconsistent calls in their calendar because they are not willing to take the next step to change. The choice is yours, and I think we both know which is the right.